What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor of FightfulWrestling.com. It is July 14th. It's been a big wrestling weekend. We had Fight for the Fallen on Saturday night, Evolve Saturday night. We reviewed AEW. We had a UFC show. We're going to talk about that Tuesday on the Fightful MMA podcast. But we're here to talk about WWE Extreme Rules 2019. A reminder, you can get all of your wrestling news over at FightfulWrestling.com. We are joined by a man who has contributed heavily, not over the past year, that side of things. Alex Pawlowski. Alex, how you doing?
Doing well. Had a really great summer week. Like, the little one is becoming an actual person, and she's she tries to have full conversations. I could pick out every fourth or fifth word. Most of it's just gibberish, but she's really talking. So we went and did a lot of stuff as a family. It really feels like summer is in a different way now. And then, hey, we got to watch, things on the TV tonight. So that was good.
I'm excited to hear when she asks how Ember Moon fits into your picnics.
It's true. It's true.
We will be joined momentarily by Latoya Ferguson, the author of an encyclopedia of women's wrestling, 100 profiles of the strongest in the sport. I highly recommend that book. It is available on Amazon, an encyclopedia of women's wrestling, 100 profiles of the strongest in the sport. She's getting a few tech things squared away, but she will be joining us shortly. 13 matches in all on this show, Alex, and I got to say, all things considered, this was one of the easiest WWE pay-per-view watches I remember since I have covered pro wrestling.
Yeah, it really had kind of a little bit for everybody. It's WWE, so it's hit and miss, but the misses weren't offensive. It wasn't watching what's this? It was okay, this wasn't what I would have done with the booking, or I didn't love the pace of that match, whatever. But it wasn't it was never a drudge to watch it. Never a drag. It moved, honestly, with that many matches, it moved along at kind of a brisk pace. So
yeah, nothing really seemed like it went too long or anything like that. And they didn't seem like they were killing a bunch of time in between.
Yep.
This was a 5-hour show, and it felt 5 hours, but the pace was good. I kind of liked it, and especially for a show that I went into with little to no expectations. Reminder, guys, you all can submit questions or statements that we will read on the air live. If you're watching on YouTube, donate a super chat, any amount that helps pay our writers, our podcasters, for interview setups, all that good stuff. It really supports that. But another way you can support us is subscribing to FightfulSelect.com. I had information on Sasha Banks, on Brock Lesnar, who appeared tonight, on a lot of things over on Fightful Select this afternoon. It's the most direct way to support what we do. I'm running a Q&A show this week, so I want you guys to send in as many questions as you can when you subscribe over there. Also, I want to send best wishes out to a couple of people. Jeremy Lambert, one of our writers, want to send him a lot of love, as well as Troy, one of our mods who still watches our shows. He's going through some stuff right now, and we know he's going to be back stronger than ever. But kickoff show had some stuff that was announced pretty last minute, Alex.
Yeah.
Nakamura versus Balor, and I'm not going to pretend this match was amazing or anything. I mean, to be honest with you, I called a match for dark match commentary for Fightful Select, and it went very much like this match.
Yeah.
There was just more bumping in this match. But Nakamura emerges with the Intercontinental title. He is now 4-0 against Finn Balor on TV. He's beaten him on pay-per-view, SmackDown, NXT, and the New Japan Cup. Nakamura couldn't really get a solid offensive going besides that offensive bodysuit he was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
That was really he knocked Balor off the top rope, stopped a coup de grace. Loved the finish. He ate a mushroom stomp, avoided the coup de grace, hit 2 Kinshasas in one. They started it off with Balor being really aggressive with the barricade work. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was fine. It was a good, 6 out of 10. It was there's nothing wrong with it necessarily, but I watch these things a lot of the what's the story they've told up until this point? How does this match add to that story? Where does the story appear to be going after this? And this story was kind of non-existent. It was Finn Balor's hey, you've just beaten Andrade a bunch of times. What you going to do now? I was like, I don't know. Shinsuke Nakamura walks up and says, I'll fight you. And that's how the feud starts. Not really all that inspiring. And
they take a cue. Like I often see a lot of people say, well, why can't they do it like New Japan where people could just come out and challenge them? And I'm like, they do.
Yeah.
That is all that happens with these middle tier titles.
Yeah. And then Nakamura got a match versus Finn Balor on TV, beat him soundly, gets a match here, beats him again, not as soundly as before, but still beats him clean. There was no shenanigans on his part. He beat Finn Balor really easily near the end. I did like the ending. I thought the pace of the match was fine. Now we get to a point where, hey, great. You finally remembered you have Shinsuke Nakamura on your roster. Good. You don't get a cookie for that, though, because you've had the belt on Finn Balor for months and done basically nothing with it. Like Finn Balor could not be like more over with a huge segment of the fan base, and he really didn't do anything with them when he had the title. So I don't have high hopes that you're going to now make the IC title picture great now that Nakamura's got the strap. But I think a heel Nakamura could be very good for the title, and the title could be very good for a heel Nakamura.
And that does have to call his contract status into question because it was due to expire this year. I don't know if he's re-signed or not, but we'll see how it goes. Some super chats. Brian Medina says, what was better, AEW Fight for the Fallen or Extreme Rules? That question also got sent from Anthony Ace. Yeah, I enjoyed this better than Fight for the Fallen, and I thought that Fight for the Fallen was pretty solid, but I thought that some of their matches went not a little too long, way too long. But Alex, we didn't get your thoughts on Fight for the Fallen last night.
I haven't been able to watch it yet, but from the complaints that I read about were a lot of like, so we're just going to have really long pay-per-view matches like WWE. I thought you guys were going to be a little different. It's early yet. Let's figure out where they go from here. But if that's the main complaint, your matches drag on for too long. Maybe that's something you guys should look at.
Aaron J's fan says, overall, good show. Yeah, I think so too. I think this was an exceptional show. I really enjoyed it. Up next on the pre-show, Drew Gulak defeated Tony Nese. Gulak gets a good reaction in Philly. Yeah. That was cool to see, Alex.
Yeah, that was great. It was really good that the Philly came out for their boy. And Gulak, as I've said, has been just so great his entire time on the roster. I saw somebody making a point that they enjoy funny Gulak more than serious Gulak. And my thing is that, honestly, you could talk me into either position. They were doing it with a little greater than sign on funny Gulak. And my thing is, you could put an equal sign. Like, he does funny, like wacky Gulak just as good as he does serious, I'm going to rip your arm off Gulak. I think that's the mark of a really, really talented performer. I'm really glad that he gets to keep this belt going forward. As I said, I pitched a dream feud of him versus Chad Gable over on 205 Live to reignite that brand. I really like this match, and I'm glad that Gulak gets to keep the belt.
Yeah, they were pulling out the stops really early. A lot of people complained about the placing, but it's the right place on the card for this. I thought it was good. I say that all the time. Nese hit a cool moonsault, but it was stupid, and I wish Gulak wouldn't have went with it.
Yeah.
That holding the top rope shit, man. Just let go. Like, is there an electrical charge in those ropes? What's going on?
I don't know. I feel like there's ways of figuring out a different positioning where that it doesn't require him to be holding himself up. Draped across the bottom rope, kind of like laying half on the apron, half on the rope. You could do it that way as opposed to holding yourself up. It's not great.
Anything else that stood out to you? Gulak planning Nese with a big power bomb is pretty good.
That whole sequence leading up to Tony Nese going for a sunset flip powerbomb or a code red, whatever you want to call it, and Gulak grabbing onto the ropes, the top rope, being pulled off into set up for his own power bomb. I thought that was a fantastic sequence. These guys have trained together for years. They know each other really well. They work together really great in the ring. As I said, happy to see Gulak keeping the belt moving forward. But I honestly was not sold on Tony Nese as being the new champion after Buddy Murphy. But he proved during his reign that he could really go. and he belonged as a champion for the time he held it. But I am glad now to see that it stays with Gulak.
Yeah, as am I. The Cyclone Crash wins it for him. Solid matches. The rope holding spots immediately took me out of it. I'll tell you what over-delivered. Undertaker and Roman Reigns defeating Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. This was the pay-per-view opener, and what a good decision that was.
Yeah.
Whoever made that final, or not the final call, the pitch, and said, you know what? Let's have this open. They're on top of things. This was good. This match didn't need to happen when the crowd was tired. It needed to happen right here. This was awesome. Roman Reigns and Undertaker got pretty good reactions. This is no holds barred, and I'm not sure how that's different than anything else, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see what the holds barred thing had to do with anything. I mean, they used chairs a couple of times. Is that a hold? Like, it was a weird deal to, like, you know, we're going to make this Extreme Rules-y type thing. Just have them beat each other up. You know, it's not rocket science. At one point, though, somebody asked me, like, if there's Extreme Rules and it's the no holds barred, why are they even making tags? Like, it turns out the only hold that's not barred is holding the tag rope. Am I right, kids? Hey, no, it's not.
That should mean that they're not allowed to do arm bars. You're not allowed to do barred holds. No knee bars. Yep. No arm bars.
Yes.
None of them.
No ice cream bars.
Not even the Art Bar frog splash. You can't do it.
Yep.
Banned. Each man has a little interaction. Shane builds up some heat. Undertaker gets a pop for old school. Alex, did you notice what I noticed when Taker and Drew went face to face?
What's that?
They're practically the same size these days.
Yeah, it's weird that they lied to us about how tall certain people were at a certain time. Like Undertaker, who's a legit between 6'8" and 6'10", 7 feet 1 inches tall.
But I mean, Drew ain't anywhere near that tall. He's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, he's 6'5". He's got a little lifties in his boots. But
a lot of people say that. They're like, oh, well, there are lifts in the boots. There are lifts in friggin' Air Force Ones if you wear them in the ring.
That's true.
I see that a lot of people saying,
I would say in his boots he's around 6'6", and the same thing looks to be around the same thing for Taker. Whatever it is, I mean,
Taker's shrinking, man.
Taker deserves to shrink. That man's been around for a long time.
Well, you know what? Not everybody deserves to shrink. And if you don't want to have to worry about shrinkage, if you don't want to have to worry about not measuring up, you can check out our friends at Blue Chew, and your penis will be really hard. That's Blue Chew. It brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach, whether you're 1 match in or 13 matches in. You're just gonna... You know what's up. They work up to twice as fast as a pill, so they can be ready whenever you are. They're prescribed online. They ship straight to your door in a discreet package. No in-person doctor's visit. They show up like a member of the Dark Order in AEW. They just without the crappy promos. You don't have to wait in the pharmacy. You don't have to wait for a bunch of druids to show up. You don't have to. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. And right now, you get your first shipment free when you use our code FIGHTFUL. Just pay that $5 shipping. Hit them up at Blue Chew on Twitter. Let them know you heard about them from us and you knew you didn't have to deal with shrinkage. Tyler says, God, Taker looks great. Looks 30 pounds slimmer than that hip surgery must have helped. I guess Goldberg was the problem. FYI, Harden and Westbrook won't work. Well, you know what? They said that Reigns and Taker wouldn't work either.
They do.
And look at us now.
Now, here's the thing. Apparently, they were marketing a shirt for their tag team, calling them the Graveyard Dogs. And I can't believe Michael Cole didn't just lose his mind calling them that the entire way through.
Latoya, do we have you?
I'm here. My camera's not working for some reason. I think I'm almost done fixing it though. Okay,
as soon as I see you pop up on there, I'll throw it to you. Again, guys, we are going to be joined imminently by Latoya Ferguson, author of an encyclopedia of women's wrestling, 100 profiles of the strongest in the sport. You guys can check that out. Buy it on Amazon. Taker ran off Shane McMahon with a chair. It's left to Roman and Drew for a little bit, but Drew ate a Samoan drop and a post. Taker got that hot tag, beat up the returning Shane. The Undertaker clotheslines weren't too hot, and that's really my only complaint with this, Alex. Elias showed up, cracked Undertaker with a guitar, implied that he was going to stab Undertaker in the face. What?
Just take it down a notch, Elias.
Did you see that? Did you think it was going to happen?
I did not. But this was interesting. They strategically got Roman out of things so they could have everybody gang up on Taker. This was honestly really well put together, well crafted, this whole section of the match.
So after that, Drew ends up saving Elias with the Claymore, and Shane hits that elbow drop through a table. It's amazing that he could do that. And you know what's also amazing? He hit that coast to coast too. Mm-hmm. Shane McMahon had a damn good night in that ring.
He did, because he's the best in the world. So you gotta expect it at this point. That's
true. Roman Reigns takes out all the heels but Shane, and Taker sits up. Great reaction.
Yeah.
Choke slam on Shane and Elias. Another massive pop. I complain about WWE production an awful lot, Alex, but there's this shot of Undertaker looking at the hard cam and Drew McIntyre just emerges.
Yep.
That was art.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was. It was intentional. There's a I don't know, a rumor going around, but there are people who are sources for certain people I've read that they want to do a McIntyre versus Taker match, even as soon as SummerSlam. And that shot is going to be the centerpiece of the video package that previews that for whatever they do it. Of Drew McIntyre, unafraid, standing up behind the Undertaker. Drew did a fantastic job all night of portraying a guy who wasn't scared of the Undertaker. Like that was a really cool thing. We can build on from there. I've said Drew McIntyre's ceiling is way higher than Shane's henchman. Like, you can do a lot of things with him beyond building on what he did in tonight's match.
Well, our ceiling just got a little bit higher. We are now joined by Latoya Ferguson. Again,
I'm here, officially.
The author of an encyclopedia of women's wrestling, 100 profiles of the strongest in the sport. Latoya, what we talked about the pre-show. What did you think of this Undertaker, Roman Reigns, Shane McMahon, Drew McIntyre match that everybody was saying over-delivered?
Yeah, I was really surprised. When they announced it would be the first match on the card, I was like, yay, they'll get it out of the way very quickly. Yeah. And then it exceeded my expectations. I was watching it with my mother, and we were both so impressed by Undertaker. Literally the best he's looked in years. He was just going. I was like, wow, this is the Undertaker I want to see show up. It was awesome.
So that after that shot, he gets tombstoned. Or actually, Shane got tombstoned and beaten. Drew got speared, I believe it was.
Yep.
So, Alex, do you see this as all the Shane push, like, kind of wasted now on Undertaker? Or is there still a little juice left there for Kevin Owens?
No, don't you understand? You got to give the young guy the rub. Got to give that young talent the rub by beating Shane McMahon. No, I don't know. It's a weird deal. The problem that you have with it is you have Shane involved in so many storylines that I don't know if him getting beaten by the Undertaker, I think that erases his feud with Roman Reigns. But the Miz is out here still wanting a piece of Shane McMahon. Is that still going on? Wait, Kevin Owens is over here. He wants a piece of Shane McMahon. That's, I know, still going on. So, I mean, is Shane still Shane with all of his henchmen until all three of his feuds are over and he's been pinned by all three of the people he's feuding with? I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming. I don't think this is the end of Shane McMahon, his reign of terror by any means. The story they're telling with Kevin Owens is far too compelling.
A couple of assessments I have. As it turns out, Undertaker can have a good match when his opponent doesn't have a concussion going into it.
Yep.
2, Shane McMahon is a better wrestler than Bill Goldberg. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's debatable. You can say what you want about the guy. This just was really good. I was told this segment went about 4 minutes over the time that it was allotted, and I think with good reason. And the Revival had to follow that up with the Usos. I thought they did a really good job. This was old school heel heat building wrestling from the Revival and masterful babyface work from the Usos. That pop-up Samoan drop scared the living shit out of me. Yeah. But they had some amazing spots. The superplex into the splash, the Uso splash that broke it up, and the Shatter Machine. Latoya, what'd you think about this? The Revival and the Usos, two of the best tag teams that are doing it.
What took them so long? We had to deal with a lot of goofiness to get to this point. Let us always forget Usi Hot. I was just happy they got the time, and even though, despite how long they've been feuding, they didn't really have a lot of actual preparation for the feud, but like it was a great match. They did what you would expect of them, and they could do even better, honestly, SummerSlam or whatever.
Alex, your thoughts on this one? This is the kind of match we want to see the Revival in if you want them to be over.
Yep.
The Usos, in my estimation, are bulletproof.
Oh, yeah.
That they're going to be over almost all the time because as we've seen over the past decade, especially the last 5 years, they know when to evolve and they know when to change.
Yes, that's true. And they have many tag team reigns left in them. They don't need to, you can't think, oh, well, they lost this. This is going to be their last shot at the titles. No, that's not going to happen. They got a long career ahead of them. The Revival did everything that made them so great in NXT. I've always often said they're heels who cheat by not cheating. Like they follow the rules, but not really. But there's great things like Dash Wilder going around to get involved, trying to prevent the Uso from tagging in. But then that creates a distraction. The ref has to try and get Dash back to his corner, which allows Dawson to get in and do stuff to the other Uso who's legal. And then Dawson, I love, fake passes out in his own corner. And then he peeks and makes sure nobody's looking, and he laughs. Scott Dawson's a national treasure. I love that guy. And one thing I also love about these two is they've turned the Shatter Machine into one of those things that they can hit out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's really, really great as a tag team because every time Scott Dawson picks up a guy, he's got to know that Dash Wilder's in position to do his part of the tag team maneuver. It's not like the end of days where all it requires is Baron Corbin to have a guy running at him. You've got to have the guy running at Scott Dawson, and Dash has got to be there. So the fact that they always manage to figure out new ways of hitting the Shatter Machine, which is one of the best tag team finishers ever. And I still, again, love how the Revival always do nods to great tag teams of the past, including what they love doing, the Power and Glory finisher, the superplex into the frog splash. Yeah. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
George Elmer says, RIP Brock Party era, great show. Demon Diva is very excited. She just says, beastie. Thank you guys for the super chats. Aleister Black got his wish, took on Cesaro. Early on, I didn't think Aleister Black was opening up enough. He was just doing kind of moonsaults. Then when he threw those kicks, I was like, all right, here we go. And boy, this turned into some real ass thumping. And not in the Blue Chew manner. No Blue Chew here. There was an amazing counter out of a Meteora where Cesaro manages to catch Aleister Black, throw him up, hit a European uppercut. Black followed up with a knee. Both men were selling knee injuries and slugging it out. There was a heel hook countered into a sharpshooter. Crowd loved this. Black eventually connected with Black Mass and won. Latoya, I want to know what you thought of the match and if you thought this was a fitting reintroduction for Aleister Black.
Oh, definitely. I loved it was a fast-paced match, but I don't think I expected that as much. When it happened, I was like, this is awesome. But I thought I was expecting more methodical match, but I love what I got. It's kind of disappointing for me that Cesaro lost, but Aleister Black, after weeks of being locked in that dark room with no one to help him out, I'm glad this was the match we got, honestly. Just both men, their athleticism is off the charts. I think this is exactly what Aleister needed after all those weeks in that dark room.
Alex, this was the traditional, we've seen this for decades. You reintroduce somebody or you introduce somebody, you give them a win, Perhaps many thought that Aleister Black would look a little bit more dominant, but they made Cesaro look really strong leading into this, and I think that's good. I think having a strong Cesaro is a good thing.
Yeah, no, this is great all around. When you have somebody like Cesaro be the guy to pick a fight, to answer the challenge, really, you don't want that guy to then get his ass kicked. He's got to come out with the fire and actually take the fight to Aleister Black, which he did, and Aleister Black was there. And Aleister Black doesn't want you to pick a fight with him so he can immediately beat you. He wants a real fight. That's why he relished the fact that it was Cesaro who challenged him and not some jobber. Like, he wanted a real fight, and he got one. Like, that was what I loved about this match, is both men just love fighting. And that was a really cool story of it. Cesaro looked like $1 trillion in defeat. Some of the stuff he could do is he's just so strong and agile. And I'm going to say this forever. I love that Aleister Black, he was on the ropes basically, and then one quick kick followed by the Black Mass. It's over. I love that he ends fights like an MMA fight. Like he was behind on points. And
let me tell you guys,
that thing with a knockout.
That kick is not easy to land on the button the way that he does. It is very, very difficult. Handicap match, Raw Women's Championship. Now, backstage, Alexa Bliss runs into R-Truth looking for Drake Maverick, now the longest reigning 24/7 champion ever. Alexa tries to send him into the restroom. Carmella doesn't let him. Then we see the Street Profits backstage, who ask where the party is. They ask how this co-champion gimmick's going to work. Latoya, how do you feel about the usage of the Street Profits so far? They've been backstage. They've got the NXT titles. Not doing a whole lot else besides they kind of narrate the show at some points.
I mean, if I assumed that the intent was to be a Shakespearean narrator, I would love it. But I don't think that's what the intent is. It's just look at the fun black people. That's what I'm getting from it a lot. And I'm like, hey, why don't they wrestle at least a little bit? Just a little bit. You can narrate and also wrestle.
I would love to see like the B team run into them and then them just absolutely beat the living shit out of the B team in a quick match or something. I mean, it's not going to hurt the B team. It'll only help the Street Profits. And what I don't need to see is any back and forth. They can run through these guys. Yeah. It's okay. They are champions. So Bliss gifts Nikki Cross a shirt. I love how excited Nikki Cross always is. And the match goes down. Bayley runs through both opponents before getting slowed down. I will say this. Alexa is noticeably faster in the ring since coming back. She looks like she is on her game. We posted on Fightful Select last week. She was missing some time with an illness, but she was back into things. There was a nasty tree of woe here, but Bayley hits, I guess what we'll call the Bayley to back on Nikki, slams Alexa on her, does this great modified deathlock, and a bank statement.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people were like, what the hell's up with Sasha? Let me tell you guys, anybody who's claiming they have the news on Sasha, she keeps a tight circle. She keeps a very tight circle. What she wants out there gets out there. She was not there tonight. Was not supposed to be there tonight. Wasn't listed on the script. But Bayley gets knees up on Twisted Bliss, catches Nikki with a big knee, hit the flying elbow and won. I thought all three women were exceptional here. This didn't go too long. But Latoya, you literally wrote the book on women's wrestling. What'd you think of this match?
I was, I don't know. I was cautiously optimistic about it, but I was hoping it wouldn't just be a mess, considering it's a 2-on-1 handicap match for a title, which is their way of getting extreme. But I was highly sports entertained by the match. People forget, and I guess this current storyline is helping to remind them, Bayley is like a beast. Bayley lays her shit in. Bayley can just, she's probably, I would say, honestly, the most physical of the four horsewomen, honestly. And just watching her wreck shop was beautiful. And it kind of just makes up for the original Bayley-Alexa Bliss feud, honestly.
I think if Becky laid her shit in as much as Bayley did, I think that would go a long way in sustaining her character. I think that's been one of my qualms with Becky's work, is that she does that second rope kick and it just kind of looks like she's nudging somebody back. If Bayley's doing that kick, she's probably going to knock him out of the ring.
Oh, yeah. But, Becky is also dealing, especially these past few months, with just a more inexperienced person. She doesn't really have anyone to lay her shit into anyway.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Alex, after this match, we didn't get Nikki turning on or Nikki turning or Alexa turning. We have a super chat from Anthony Ace saying, should Alexa and Nikki compete for the tag titles? I think they should. I don't see why not. I love them together. What do you think of this, Alex?
I think this is I mean, I'm of two minds on this. Like, you set up this whole thing that it seemed like all the potential storylines moving forward were either Nikki pins Bailey, and Alexa says, "Great, now I'm the champ." And Nikki says, "Well, I thought we were going to be co-champs." And Alexa says, "No, that's a story." Or they actually become co-champions for a while. That's a story. Or Nikki loses and Alexa turns on Nikki, or Nikki wins and says, "Now I'm the champion," and Alexa, you're not allowed to. All the things come out of it, as opposed to this, which is just Bailey wins, which is great for Bailey. Like, I'm really happy Bailey didn't get made to look like a chump like she has before versus Alexa. But now what? And I think a lot of the now what we're going to see is going to be on SmackDown. But the problem I have with that is, again, Alexa's on Raw. Alexa should go back to Raw. Like, there's all these people on SmackDown who should be like, Sonya Deville is killing it. Why doesn't Sonya Deville get a match with Bailey? Are you kidding me? You're talking about Latoya, about how Bailey lays her shit in. Like, her versus Sonya, like, that would be some hard stuff. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, the thing I suggest to everyone recently this past few months to watch is the Worlds Collide episode, the women's episode.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite matches of the year is still Candice versus Kaylee Ray, where it's literally just like they're trying to murder each other. And like the opening match of this episode, I'm like, everyone needs to see this. There's so many. We all know that WWE is just full of insane talent, but the women, it's just, there's endless talent, and they're not getting enough. And we had a 12-card pay-per-view.
13 by the end of it.
Jesus. Yeah. Only one actual like women's match, and then you have the mixed tag team match. That's unacceptable, honestly.
D'Lo Diggs says, did you guys catch the WWE watch along? KO jumped on Adam Cole and Matt Hardy yelled, "It's a Mount Rushmore reunion." Yeah, Adam Cole was there, and he was there to do the watch along and filming something else. I'm told he flies back in the morning, so probably shouldn't hold your breath for anything else. Rob Wilkins says, can Rusev come back from the dead like Warren Hayes? He asked for some time off from what I heard, or I thought saw was reported somewhere, but he probably needed that time off.
Aww.
Last man standing. Braun Strowman defeated Bobby Lashley. These are two guys who have been booked just so sadly up until this feud. And for better or for worse, the arm wrestling drew numbers. The tug of war drew numbers. Them destroying the set was very cool. And this was outstanding. Just they mow each other down with spears and tackles. Lashley uses chairs and stairs. They brawl into the concession area. You guys know how I feel about that. I'm a big fan of taking things into a different environment, showing people different parts of the arena. I'm not a fan of when production absolutely shits the bed on shaking and zooming. When Lashley gets suplexed into the wall, that is a tough bump, and production just ruins it. Lashley speared Strowman through the barricade at ringside, and it looked like Strowman's head bounced off the mats, almost bounced off the stairs. But Lashley lamely pushes Strowman over the table, but Strowman has to get up from under that table. Does so, heaves Lashley over the announcer's row, the international announcer's row, and power slams Lashley like off a concourse or something. This was good stuff. Braun Strowman got out and won. I thought this was everything it needed to be, Alex, but I want to know how you feel.
I thought this was great. This was this was the absolute next logical step after that amazing Falls Count Anywhere match they had a couple weeks ago on Raw. I would have loved it if neither of them had been out there. It's a weird deal. WWE loves to have people recover from crazy stuff they shouldn't recover from in a week. But I thought the pace of this match was really great. One thing I don't want to slight is Lashley leaping over that barricade to then be tossed using his own momentum into the poor international guy, because that guy did not look like he was ready for that.
I screamed, "Poor Sean!"
yeah, that was not good. But I did love. I was kind of saying to myself, okay, what's the big spot here that's going to end this? And I saw all the plywood and everything. Okay, he's going to power slam him off of whatever this is through that plywood roof, and then he's going to break through the wall. And then he did the exact thing. Like, it's one of those things where if you can call it ahead of time and you think, oh, they'll never do that. It would be awesome though. And then they do it. You're like, okay, all right, golf clap. You guys did everything I wanted you to. I thought that was great. Somebody texted me, Braun is the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh man, Latoya, how'd you feel about this one?
I feel that Braun Strowman is at his best when he is either trying to actually murder someone or someone is trying to actually murder him, which is why, of course, going through the stage spot's amazing. Being put in a dumpster, like a trash compactor, is amazing, obviously. Not a fan of the comedy stuff. So I was like, this is great. And I feel like Bobby Lashley should also, I think that's where his character works. He should be in that place where he is trying to either murder someone or someone is trying to murder him, because nothing else has worked with Bobby Lashley, really. Not being like one of Baron Corbin's lackeys, not talking about how much he loves his sisters, just, trying to kill his competition. So sometimes that's what wrestling should be. Just nonsense and Kool-Aid Man antics.
I'm with you. You. I like that stuff. Him tearing up stuff works.
Yeah.
That's just what has always worked. New Day as tag team champions traditionally works, and that's what happened here. I don't know what happened with Heavy Machinery and WWE over the last month, but I look forward to their matches now.
Yep.
And I had these people say, well, they were always awesome. I don't think so. I don't know if them going, oh, Alexa, yeah. That's not my jam, guys. That's not what I tune in for, is for Otis having a seizure because he sees some blonde girl. Hey, not my thing. Early on, I thought Daniel Bryan really capitalized off of the question that we always ask in these matches. Why? Why are they reaching for the ropes? Why is this? Why are they following the rules? Why are they doing any of this? Daniel Bryan's like, there's no DQ. I can hold on to this as long as I want. You can try to get to the ropes all you want. I don't give a damn. Big E had a great hot tag. YOLO dived onto Bryan. Bryan grabs his head, that son of a bitch, like he does every time, and freaks people out. I didn't like that everybody had to stand around waiting on Otis to dive. They didn't have to wait on Tucker, which was good. Big E got hit with the compactor. But Bryan makes a blind tag before this Tower of Doom, followed up with a diving headbutt and a label lock, turned it into a bow and arrow stretch, which was really good. But then Big E cracks Bryan with the clothesline, catches Bryan midair on a moonsault, does the Midnight Hour, and New Day win it. I wasn't expecting this, but damn, I like it, because you can't have New Day lose you can't have them lose too often. I think they are a marquee act. They are a special act. Latoya, New Day as tag team champions. I'm interested to see what you think, and I want to know where you think Daniel Bryan goes from here.
I'm always here for New Day as champions, especially with Kofi as champion. Obviously, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm really glad that they all three ended up as champions at the end of the night. It would have been really sad if Kofi had lost. Yeah, New Day, I'm excited to see what happens next, definitely. Bryan and Rowan, I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen next. It's really interesting. I feel like SmackDown stealthily, because everyone was saying SmackDown has no tag team division really, and they stealthily build up a really good division, especially with Heavy Machinery. No one was expecting them to be taken seriously at all. They put on great showings. The crowd loves them. It's impressive. I'll give them that, because a lot of things have not been impressive lately. And when they actually do something well, of course, I'll say it.
Alex, good tag team wrestling here. There were some spots I didn't like, but this show I thought really knocked it out of the park with tag team wrestling, all things considered, especially with some of the qualms I had about last night's tag team wrestling and the rules that were or weren't enforced. You're going to be able to pick those out no matter what, especially on this show. What'd you think?
Yeah, this is really, really great tag team wrestling, and also it allowed everyone a chance to shine and a chance to do some really cool stuff. Otis is incredibly, incredibly strong, and he's a lot of fun to watch. I think I was with you all the stuff they had Heavy Machinery doing when they were first called up, because a lot of it wasn't wrestling. A lot of it was just hanging out backstage, drinking weird protein shakes,
shaking their dicks at people, literally.
The Street Profits, basically.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like the thing is, like that's why I don't have as much pessimism about the Street Profits as maybe I should, because I believe that when they finally allow the Street Profits to get in the ring and do their stuff, people will fall in love with them the same way they've fallen in love with Heavy Machinery. But like Otis is like the boy who cried because like you think that's all he can do, and all of a sudden he gets in the ring and he can actually go. Like that's the interesting thing about him. I don't know how long you can just pigeonhole him into giant round oaf without also accounting for the fact that this dude can actually go. I thought that it was all. I didn't love how both Heavy Machinery guys were taken out like 6 minutes before the match ended. It felt like they were out of the picture way too early but I did love Big E's whole like not giving up no matter what. Daniel Bryan, like let's not forget who it was who had him in those submissions. Like Big E refused to give up to those things. He took all of Daniel Bryan's kicks to the chest. He said, "Give me more." He got up. You watch that sequence with Daniel Bryan, and then also catching him out of the air for the moonsault. Like, and somebody needs to explain to me why Big E is not currently a former multi-time singles champion. That guy's been so good for so long. He's the next one. Like once Kofi's done with his reign, like I'm not saying it has got to end tomorrow, but once that's done, the next guy from the New Day who gets a singles championship run, it's got to be Big E. He's great.
I think Xavier's great too. That's the benefit of having this act. They're all outstanding.
He is.
WWE, New Day are celebrating backstage, and Paul Heyman walks through Gorilla, teases that Brock Lesnar is going to be there, but also implies that he might be lying because he's Paul Heyman, of course. Rob Bookins, thank you for the super chat, says, shout out to Jeremy Lambert. Miss you, buddy. Yeah, we all do. He'll be back in the fold soon. Send your love to Jeremy. He's part of our Fightful family, and definitely here for him. AJ Styles defeated Ricochet to become a 3-time United States champion. Anderson and Gallows jump Ricochet ahead of the match, even though AJ had said he didn't reform the club because he got beat by Ricochet. Ricochet did a shooting star like clothesline off the apron that broke the apron. It broke the LED board. I don't know. He did a backflip into an enziguri, a dive, a lion salt, all kinds of stuff. But when I see all that, the thing I'm most impressed with is like that deadlift suplex he does. Like the fact that he's able to do that to guys that are even bigger than him are really awesome. And Styles did this incredible suplex into the Tree of Woe. Like there are not a lot of guys that could have pulled that off, but Ricochet was one of them. These guys were just dropping each other hard, hitting each other hard, flying everywhere. They were allowed to do what got them over to the point to where WWE would want to sign them. And that has gone so far in Ricochet. Ricochet does a great shooting star press, but Anderson shows that Styles' foot is under the ropes. And I've had people say, okay, explain that to me. What does that matter? It's like stepping out of bounds in basketball. You can't shoot a shot while you're out of bounds. You can't pin somebody while you're out of bounds. Any part of you out of bounds doesn't matter. That's the rule. So you don't just have to touch the rope or grab the rope. Ricochet gets distracted, eats a backwards second rope Styles clash. I've seen hundreds, if not probably hundreds of AJ Styles matches. I don't remember that, and if so, it's been a long-ass time. Latoya, I love the finish. I like the match. I'm really digging the club. How about you?
I really like the match. The one thing I didn't like about the match was just basically on commentary, where they did that thing where they pretend like someone like Ricochet is just a complete rookie.
Yeah,
I know the story they're trying to tell, but it got really grating. The more that they kept saying it, the longer the match went on. But I love the story of the match. Obviously, AJ Styles, you're forming the club because Ricochet beat him. And the whole thing is that, Ricochet keeps coming back, even though AJ, he's doing everything, which is why he ends up, with that second rope backwards Styles clash. He has to pull out all the stops to beat Ricochet. And yeah, I appreciate the club in WWE. I hope they really do something with it this time, honestly.
As do I, especially since they signed a new 5-year deal. My God. Alex, this match was what we thought it would be, and that finish, I liked it.
Yeah, this is great. This sets up what I believe will be some match between Ricochet and Styles at SummerSlam. Wouldn't be surprised to see Ricochet get the title there and have AJ move on to something bigger, because that's what they do now. If you lose the title, the mid-card title, you move on to the next step. I think that the AJ with the club demands that. But Ricochet is so great. Like, this whole match, these guys were back and forth, doing everything they needed to do, laying it in stiff. The sequences were amazing. That Ricochet's enziguri that stuns Styles, but he recovers long enough to hit the Pele kick, and both men go down in heaps. Like, there's just really, really great selling all the way across the board. I particularly loved that they chose to not have Anderson put AJ's foot on the rope, but to call that it was there, because that's not cheating. That's just being a good guy at ringside. And then, lest I think, I like that they're not going to cheat in this match, immediately they turn to cheating. Like, I think that's really great, because they'll cheat if they need to. But if they don't have to, they won't. That's cool. I like that a lot. I like that whatever the situation calls for, that's what the club will be there to do for Styles. Styles as heel champ on any level is really, really interesting to me. And Ricochet's, this is not his last run. He's going to be great.
Kevin Owens squashed Dolph Ziggler, kick wham stunner. That's it. Says that he doesn't like Shane McMahon. That's a wrap. Alex, there was no other way to do this match.
No, none.
They knocked it out of the park.
It was perfect. Owens will never be as white hot over as he is right now. Like, unless he does this exact same thing to Shane McMahon at SummerSlam. Like he's a meteor scorching through the night sky. Like, you gotta hitch your wagon to this guy right now and let him keep doing what he's doing, because people are loving this. All over social media, people are loving this thing too. I can't wait to see where this goes, but this was exactly how to handle this match.
Latoya, you on board with the Kevin Owens push?
I'm always on board with any Kevin Owens push whatsoever. And just Dolph slapping.
I'm on board with your cat calendar.
It's ASPCA, so it's multiple animals.
I love it.
Actually, what is July? I haven't flipped it yet.
Oh my gosh.
It
is a cat. I have many cats, but sorry to interrupt. Kevin Owens and his push the last 2 weeks have been monstrous for him.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say earlier, actually, my thing with the Shane McMahon, do we want to call it push, just overture, whatever it is that it feels like WWE finally listened to everyone's complaints about how, Stephanie McMahon never gets her comeuppance. So we'll make Shane this character because he can get his comeuppance, right? But the thing is, I feel like Shane in like the Mr. McMahon role doesn't work as well as, I think Stephanie is like the heir apparent to the Mr. McMahon character. She just can't get, stuttered by everyone, which is the real problem with all of this. But as long as I can see Kevin Owens kick Shane's ass every week, I'm fine with it now. It's finally worth it. Finally.
Kofi Kingston retained the WWE Championship over Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, the only man to actually beat Kofi since WrestleMania, and the only person to beat him straight up since all this happened. Dolph Ziggler did pin him in a 2 out of 3 falls match, which should not have happened. Shouldn't have happened. And Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles beat him after he had been through a bunch of other people. But Samoa Joe loses his 8th televised world title match in 2 years. 8! Damn. This was a good match, though. Kofi got his leg swept, and that knee hyperextended, and I was worried.
Yep.
But it looked like he was fine. They slugged it out. Joe stomped Kofi's fingers in the stairs. Thought that was a good spot. Went power slam to power bomb to STF. I do think that on that power bomb, he like gives it up a little easy, and it looks like he's just giving up on the pin, like after a 1 count. And I'm like, damn, dude, maybe you had him there. I know he doesn't, but it's like they always say, make every near fall count. Whatever opportunity you have to put the shoulders on the mat, you do it. I was really fearful that this match would slow this show to a crawl, and it didn't. This was a way different than a lot of the Samoa Joe TV matches I've seen. But Kofi hit a Trouble in Paradise and won. I'm all for the Kofi push continuing. He is still a hot character. He is still doing great. I'm still here for him being world champion. Latoya, your thoughts on this and the different roads that these two men seem to be taking?
I mean, I love Kofi as champion. I'm glad he wasn't the one who was cashed in on. But again, I love Samoa Joe, and it feels bad that he just keeps not winning the big one. It's also kind of like the Braun Strowman thing where, okay, we're rooting for you. We know you can kick ass, and now you're going to lose when it counts, and that really sucks. If only there was everyone. Let's give more main event titles. How about that? That's what WWE needs. More titles. I'm sure everyone wants that. That way, Samoa Joe can get the Galactic Championship, and we'll be happy. There you go.
Alex.
Yeah, I love Samoa Joe, but he's the new de facto Bray Wyatt. Like, comes in, says, I'm going to kick your ass, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to take your title, I'm going to do all this stuff. Basically, stop short of calling himself a god, but like just short of calling himself a god, and then loses. And that's it. Like, that's his story. That's what he does, and that's not great. But Kofi's got to. And this is a placeholder feud. Like, Kofi's the WWE champion. He's doing something major at SummerSlam. And major is not Samoa Joe, unfortunately. It could be, maybe it should be, but it's not. So I don't know what they're doing with Kofi at SummerSlam, but it ain't Samoa Joe. So this was a placeholder, and we're moving on from it, which is too bad for Samoa Joe, but that's the way it is.
Reminder, guys, leave a thumbs up on this video if you're watching on YouTube, but we are on podcast platforms everywhere. SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Libsyn, all over the place. And of course, you can go to Fightful.com or FightfulPods.com, download them directly, stream them directly, watch them, whatever the hell you want to do. You can also go to FightfulSelect.com. That is the most direct way to support us. Lots of bonus podcasts, lots of exclusive news that go straight to your inbox. Winner take all Extreme Rules match. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins defeated Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. Lacey has Seth embroidered across her ass. Does not quite have the same effect as Rick Rude with Jake Roberts' wife's face across his ding-dong. But it existed, Alex.
Listen, it was a weird thing. Like, she pulled off her skirt, right? And then, like, bent over, and the camera, like, zoomed in.
and Renee goes, ew.
the problem was, at the angle she was bending, and the angle where the camera was going, it didn't show the letters. It just zoomed up her ass. That was it. It was like a colonoscopy from 5 feet away. And we didn't need to see that. Later, we realized what that was. But it seemed like a weird flex. Like, I can embroider 4 letters on my ass cheeks is a weird flex.
She's a real woman, Alex.
She is. She's a real woman. You know how those classy Southern belles love to write stuff on their ass.
This is like the 3rd pay-per-view in a row where she apparently didn't do the homework on what a lady is. She like dressed up like she was working in a saloon once. She had money guns. What is a lady to you, Lacey Evans?
So here's the thing. We got to get the Lacey Evans-Sasha Banks feud, because now Lacey Evans is going to start embroidering gear for everybody, taking Sasha's husband's work from him, stepping on Makazi's toes. That can't happen. Everybody's going to have words embroidered on their ass now. Not cool. Lacey and Corbin get worn out with kendo sticks. Corbin slams Rollins on a couple chairs, hit the DDT. I don't know why people are standing and waiting to be tagged. The only thing that a tag would affect here is the legal person to be pinned.
Yeah, it's weird.
But Becky beats Lacey's ass, face buster into the chair, Bexploder onto a pile of chairs. I think all things considered, Lacey did really, really well in this match from what we know of her, because she's had some real bad stuff happen of late. And she had a good leg sweep, a good slingshot elbow, a good marrow salt. She was busted up a little bit. Latoya, what did you think of her performance tonight compared to some of them that she's had prior?
Definitely her best performance so far on the main roster, except for when she accidentally hit Becky with the chair after, like, the chair just, like, jumped out of her hands and she hit her in the nose. I was really worried that everything was just going to come gushing out again. But yeah, this was definitely her best performance. She should have put Seth on her breasts instead of her ass. That would have been, you would have been able to see it better. But I've enjoyed Lacey Evans in NXT. I was just kind of disappointed with her performances on the main roster. Every time something went wrong, I was like, oh no, it's not good. But she kept getting chances, so what do I know? But yeah, best performance. There might be something wrong with me because I've enjoyed these really gimmicky matches. I enjoyed this match. I enjoyed the special referee match at Stomping Grounds. I'm not saying I enjoy the whole Becky and Seth. They're a couple. Have you heard?
Yeah.
But if we're going to keep having people who lose definitively each time have matches against the champions, these have not been terrible matches these past two matches.
Becky follows up with a reverse DDT. Seth tags in, but Corbin's out. So he's like, well, what do I do? I'm going to get some tables. Well, double choke slams from the heels, double suplexes from the baby faces. We see those tables come back into play. Becky jumps off the second rope to the outside, leg drops Lacey. Seth does a big splash on Baron. And then Becky gets hit with Becky saves Corbin, or saves Seth from a deep six and eats an end of days. And boy, did that get a reaction, Alex.
Yep. Yeah. I literally clutched my pearls. I went, because that they don't do that in WWE. That's a major no-no. They're both Lacey and Becky got shots in on the boys, but the other way around doesn't happen. So that was a major deal. Now, if the whole point of that was to then have Seth go nuts on Baron and win, okay. However, what it ultimately led to, I don't know if that end justifies the means. Also, with Becky, it kind of listen. Nobody kicks out of the end of days, and I understand that.
Yeah,
but it looked like she was. They've done so much to be like the man's man, like Seth is totally dotes on Becky, loves Becky, does everything that's his thing that they're portraying. But it did that one thing, her getting end of days and out, did a lot to make her the damsel in distress, which she didn't need to be. I don't know. It's a weird deal. I don't know where this is going. All I know is that the end of the match means no more title shots for Corbin, no more title shots for Lacey Evans, and those things make me a happy dude.
Well, that was when they were both champion, though. So we'll talk about that. I will say one thing I did like about the end of days and then Seth's reaction was how Lacey immediately bailed. Like, she was afraid that Seth was going to do all of that to her. And she's like, oh no, I don't want this.
I'm out.
I don't know them.
So, Latoya, when you see this as a woman, and like I said, literally wrote the book on women's wrestling, character in wrestling hits a woman with his finish. Mm-hmm. Do you see that as complete, just like character playing a role type of thing? Because, it'll get criticism. Like, there will be some politician in the future that'll bring that up when Linda McMahon's running some gimmick. They're going to be like, the domestic abuse in 2019.
Well, I'm also a fan of intergender wrestling, at least good intergender wrestling. And I do agree that it was like, I understand the end of days is a heavily protected finisher, but you don't want to make the man the damsel, because honestly, she's not even really been the one in this storyline getting hurt as a character as much. Seth really has, because everyone knows, obviously, Becky is the dominant one in this on-screen relationship. So really, and it's for the best that, like, obviously Seth is the one who loses his title at the end, but Becky still, she keeps her championship.
I'm interested to see how that dynamic works tomorrow if they're still on screen together. Does Becky blame herself for not being there? For her taking her eye off the ball or whatever that may be? And
they never address that they're a couple ever again. They're done with that.
They drop it. Because the fact that WWE never does this is probably why it got that reaction. Yeah, exactly. And they were wise in that. Well, Seth did flip out, stomped him 3 times, him being Corbin, pronouns, wins the match, but Brock Lesnar shows up, cashes in Money in the Bank. 15 seconds later, he is Universal Champion. Now, I'm not reporting anything here, but I'm going to guess that whole, hey, yeah, we're not doing the rematch thing probably doesn't last here. But I would like over the next few weeks of TV for somebody to say, well, hey, Seth, there aren't any rematches because Brock didn't get one. Why should you?
Right.
I mean, they've honestly stopped that whole no rematches thing, as evidenced by like the past 3 pay-per-views.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is a rematch. But also, another reason I was upset Becky didn't get up is all I was thinking is, kick him in the dick, Becky. Kick him in the dick.
Sure.
I honestly thought that Brock was going to be standing there waiting for Seth to get up so he can give him the F5, and just from like the camera pans out a little bit and we see Becky just reach up under there, get a good little Ric Flair dick punch that would set up the stomp, and then Brock is out of our lives for a few months. He's not in the title picture. He's gone. And
see, the thing is, I don't know how they could or would set this up for SummerSlam, but it would be a little less heelish if Becky Lynch did that here because Seth has already worked the match.
Right.
Seth just helped her out. And I would have to disagree. I don't think her taking the end of days and sitting out hurts her at all because it is the most protected finish in pro wrestling now.
That does help that.
But I was fully expecting that too. The old nut shot, the old right in the penis, setting up a curb stomp, and then all is fair there because Brock's trying to capitalize. Right. Now, I'm sure they're setting up Seth versus Brock again at SummerSlam.
That's the main event of SummerSlam. 100%.
But I hope that Seth has to go through something on TV over the next few weeks to get us there because we've been told no rematches.
Spoiler alert, Sean, he won't. Yeah. The thing with this is that they were trying really hard, the announcers, Michael Cole and Graves especially, to tell the story of Seth is just so messed up from watching his girlfriend to get end of dazed that he can't possibly put up a fight against Brock Lesnar. And it was like, oh, okay. I mean, you could do you could say also that he had a fairly grueling match or whatever, but it was like a thing of like Seth, his brain doesn't work right now because he saw this thing that put him, he's so crazed. I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, the end result is that Brock is Universal Champion again. And the time that we spent with Brock as Universal Champion on Raw sucked.
Yeah. And I don't want it a long-term thing. I don't give a shit about Fox or USA or any of that.
I don't. Like, the thing is that it doesn't like draw ratings because he's never there. So that's not a thing. Like if he's signed a new deal where Brock's going to be there like every other week and just come out and F5 a guy and people are going to go crazy. Okay, fine. But I don't think that's the deal. Blessedly, we have basically like a month or 3 weeks, basically, until SummerSlam. And hopefully Brock loses the title then, and then we can be washed of him. But because I'm kind of done with the whole Brock as Universal Championship guy.
Yeah, I think he was much more valuable with the briefcase, not knowing when he was going to cash it in. Latoya, you want to put a bow on this one for us?
I've been done with Brock Lesnar as Universal Champion for years now, and it's just the chance of we want Lesnar, no, we don't. Why do you want Lesnar? You want Lesnar because you want something exciting to happen, and then you're gonna bitch about him being the champion the whole time. And now he's champion, so congratulations, you got what you wanted.
I think there's a lot of value in Brock Lesnar, but one, he's got to be there if he's champion. And otherwise, there's not value in him not being champion. However, there was a lot of value in him being the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, whether he was there or not, because Paul is there every week. So Paul can just stroll out, be a dick, and hit the bricks. And that's a wrap. But, we'll see what happens. You know what? If this is the old swerve and they're taking the title off of him in a couple weeks, whatever. He has been around and on the show at least a little bit more than last time, but a little bit more isn't that much better because, Alex, you and I reviewed 500 plus days of Raw where the top prize on the brand didn't mean anything.
Nope.
They weren't fighting over anything.
No.
And that really, really hurt the show. As we wrap up, Latoya, tell us a little bit about your book.
My book on women's wrestling here. I have it right here.
It's a beauty. Look at that.
Yes. 100 profiles on women's wrestlers through all of history. My original pitch had over 200 plus, and I had to whittle it down. If you are a fan of wrestling, you probably are listening to this. But even if you're not a fan of wrestling, it's just fascinating. A lot of ups and downs and more downs. And just I gained a lot of appreciation for, even wrestlers I was never a fan of, like doing all the research and writing this. So, yeah, it's a labor of love. I hope everyone checks it out and enjoys it.
You all really should. It's modern day names. It's legendary names. It's mainstream names. It's indie names. People like Lufisto who were instrumental in a lot of the careers that you see today. Very, very great stuff. This is something you're going to want to check out. It is on Amazon. So make sure you guys check that out. You all can follow Latoya at LA Fergs. You can follow Alex at Pawlowski the 4th, but he'll be back with us Monday night. But hey, guys, check out the Fight for the Fallen review that we did. We got a lot of stuff coming to Fightful Select. Overall, let's kind of get our final thoughts in on this show. Latoya, what will you remember Extreme Rules 2019 for?
Extreme Rules 2019. Probably Lacey Evans' weird Seth trunks that didn't have the desired effect. Let's see. Becky Lynch not hitting Brock Lesnar in the dick. Definitely remember that. Braun Strowman, Kool-Aid Manning. And Bayley just destroying Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross saying, fuck this.
Alex, I'll probably remember this as one of the more consistent, enjoyable, top to bottom shows that WWE has put on, at least in the Fightful era of the last 3 years. How about you? What will your lasting memory of this show be?
I'll probably reference this show a bunch. Angry at myself for allowing myself to be fooled into thinking The Undertaker can really still go. I mean, don't you remember 18 months ago at Extreme Rules when he had that great match? What happened? Oh, he got a year and a half older. That's what happened.
Oh, they think they can book him in singles matches for 15 minutes again.
That's right. I'll also remember it the day that Kevin Owens as Steve Austin really took over.
Guys, thank you all so much. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, leave that thumbs up, subscribe. That stuff really helps. And hey, if you're not, go over to iTunes. Even if you don't listen there, leave a nice 5-star review. That helps more people find us. Until next time, guys, we are out.